right, welcome back, everybody. I'm Neil Cavuto, and I want to just read you something about this inevitable notion about Hillary Clinton winning it all. This is from a fellow north of our border in Canada who says, I will make a hazardous prediction. I think that Hillary Clinton, in the words of the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, when his fellow Republicans were drinking the Kool-Aid about the preordained unacceptability of Donald Trump, will drop like a hot rock. Lord Conrad Black is his name. He's a media mogul. He's also a lord, so you have to call him Lord for one thing. But my Lord, good to have you.
That title and the correct fare get me on the public transit system, Neil.
Yeah, I called myself the financial factor here, and it gets the same response. What's interesting in the same piece, it's a couple of weeks old, but I think it is, but you say, I'm not ignoring the shortcomings of Trump as a candidate for such a great office. His short temper, tendency to braggadocio and vagueness on many issues, the orgy of political incorrectness, the scores of millions of Archie bunkers in America find so endearing. You go on to say that it's the other stuff we associate with establishment types, paraphrasing here, that will be Hillary Clinton's doom. What do you mean?
I don't want to be quite that emphatic, and I'm personally not anti-Mrs. Clinton to the slight degree. I mean, she's a very competent person. I don't think she's actually done a great deal in her public career, but she's clearly a strong, tough, smart woman, and if she's president, I think she would be a competent president. So that's not what I was referring to. I think that you know, you may say, what do I know about it? I'm not even an American, as you point out. By the way, I'm not a media mogul anymore either, but that's fine. I'll take it.
I like the M and M thing. It just works better. If I call you a mogul, people will say, what kind of mogul? Work with me. Go ahead.
I just, you and a few other people asked me for my opinions. That's all I am. But there clearly is a fatigue in the country with this Bush-Clinton co-regency. I mean, there's never in the history of the U.S. been anything like 8 straight terms from 1981 to 2013, 32 years, where one member or another of the Bush or Clinton families held one of the 3 top jobs, president, vice president, or secretary of state. And they, with respect to them, and they deserve respect. Both those families have rendered great service to the country. But they haven't been sustained 32 years in a row in those positions, and both families put up candidates for president this year, and Hillary Clinton, of course, is the nominee, because they were so outstandingly good. It's not like the Roosevelts or the Adams, where you had 2 great presidents in the Roosevelt family, and one of the greatest secretaries of state, John Quincy Adams, and one of the founders with John Adams. I mean, they're not as distinguished as that, and we never really have any reason to believe we would have heard of the Clintons if George Bush Sr. hadn't allowed Ross Perot to split his vote.
It's not an alien concept. In your country, you've got another Trudeau in there, so it is, people tend to glom on to this sort of thing. But I'm wondering, are you then sensing that it's not so crazy for Americans who are in a revolt kind of a mood to say no to this, at least this go around, and entertain Donald Trump?
Yeah, look, I think you get to a point where you have fond recollections or respectful recollections of a political personality, and if someone is related to that person and has that name, it's a reassuring thing. A lot of people, as I understand it, felt that way about FDR coming 20 years after Theodore Roosevelt, who was in another party. But there's also a phenomenon of people thinking that the same family is just claiming some kind of right to cling to the furniture in the great offices of the country again and again, and they get tired of it. And I think you saw a bit of that in the treatment of Jeb Bush. You know, he spent a great deal of money, and his campaign wasn't successful.
All right. We'll watch very, very closely. What is that? Could be trumpets from my Lord. Conrad Black.
It is unfortunately my cell phone, but I will not, it should stare. It stopped now.
Now, here's why I know you're a Lord, because your cell phone rings like a cell phone of my Lord.
My wife said it, and she's a Wagner enthusiast. It's from Gotterdammerung.
I will let that go. Very good seeing you, Conrad. Thank you very much. Conrad Black.
Same to you, Neil.